the value of a true leader is to inspire people to take action, right?
Totally.
And just remember to always reinstill like the belief, the why of what we're doing, and projecting the vision out to them so they know exactly why they're doing something and then where we're going as well too. And that's been my biggest lesson as a leader is always starting with why and then showing where we're going as well.
So you have a passion for fitness and the desire to start your own business, but launching a massively successful fitness business is extremely complex. The systems, operations, hiring, firing, coaching, sales, and marketing are critical to success. Where do you even start? This show will give you the answers. Here is Bedros Keuilian and Bryce Henson, your hosts of the Fitness Franchise Podcast, a show dedicated to helping fitness entrepreneurs launch and grow successful gyms.
Welcome back, friends, to another amazing episode of the Fitness Franchise Podcast. And before we get into today's guest, I want to give you a friendly reminder to give us a like and subscribe on YouTube and write us an awesome review on iTunes. That way we can keep producing this content for you for free. So now today's guests are two dear friends of mine who are overweight kids turned fitness experts and now owners of Modesto Fit Body Bootcamp located in Northern California. And in this episode, going to teach you how to build a thriving family business that inspires fitness and changes lives every day. And Daniel and Kat, welcome to the show. Super excited to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bryce. Super excited to be here.
Yes, it's awesome. I love it.
Totally. We have a lot to cover today between becoming friends for the last few years and your incredible success at Vintage Fair Fit Body. Before we get there, though, I want to start off the backstory. So, Daniel, why don't you take us through it?
Yeah, so Caroline and I, we grew up brother and sister, obviously. Yes. Pretty overweight as kids. I was one of the biggest kids in my grade back in middle school and high school, and it actually affected us both very negatively, but in very different ways. For me, I was very reserved and timid, lacked a lot of self-confidence, and it just affected me throughout my whole youth.
Totally.
And when I was 16 years old, I was tired of being the overweight kid, and took it to the extreme. I basically starved myself so I could lose about 60 pounds. And I knew I didn't do it in a healthy way, and it didn't change who I was internally. Right, it was just on the outside.
So your identity didn't change. It was just this kind of white knucklehead. I'm going to just cut calories and lose 60 pounds, but nothing transformationally changed.
No, not internally, not at all. And then after a couple of years, I was working at Pizza Hut, eating all kinds of pizza every day, and just gained all that weight back. And then a ton more.
It might sound like a joke, but it's not. We literally had breakfast, lunch, dinner, pizza.
Both of you.
Yeah, it caused a lot of weight gain on her too. So my whole family. And then at 20 years old again, just overweight, unhappy. But this time I did it the right way. I started doing just a ton of research on fitness, on eating healthy. Started changing the way that I think about myself, and was able to lose that 60 pounds again. And that's when the real Daniel came out. That was a real internal transformation. My identity changed. I became happier, more outgoing, more confident. I was just doing all kinds of stuff, loving life. And that was the most pivotal moment in my life. And ever since then, just obsessed and hooked with fitness.
In your early 20s is when you really made
it was right at 20 years old with that second change.
And that second change, was it completely nutrition based? Was it exercise as well? Was it a combination of both?
It was both.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would research in the morning on the computer at home on what to eat. And then I would go work out, and then I would go back researching, and then just kind of go about my day.
Okay.
And I was going to college at the time too, working full time. I was working at a production warehouse at a winery at that point. But I was still going to school, and I was actually going to school for business and concentration in accounting. And so that was my first career. So right after college.
Because you were a trained accountant.
Yeah. So I did that for 6 years. So I worked for a CPA firm. So I would travel to different companies, do the audits for them. So it was a fun job. I really enjoyed it. I actually loved it. But it wasn't my calling. I enjoyed it, but I didn't wake up every day oh, let's go. I'm excited to go to work and do all these things. I was really excited about fitness, and I loved talking about fitness and nutrition with my coworkers, with my clients at the time. I was talking to accountants about fitness and nutrition, and they would all listen and take advice from me, and I helped a few of them get into it.
Oh, nice.
But I didn't get into it professionally until a little later, until I just kind of woke up one day and I was I need to do something different, and wanted to get into fitness. And my sister was actually already personal training. She was already certified, and I kind of envied her. And I was like,
nice.
I want to get into fitness, but I don't even know how. Heard about FitBody and knew there was an opportunity to open up a location in our hometown of Modesto. And I asked my sister if she was willing to go all in with me, and
Kat said, let's go.
yeah, let's rock and roll. So yeah, with my business background and the capital that I had and her experience in fitness, we just decided to join forces, and it's been an awesome ride. And now I get to wake up every day doing what I love, and you know, I really enjoy the challenge of growing a business and leading our team and serving our clients, and then making a positive impact in our community as well.
Heck yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Kat, I'm going to dive into you real quick. But before I do,
Sure.
one last kind of question to close the loop, because it looks like you did have proper accounting training, which I think, like, taking a 30,000-foot view, that's probably really good from a business perspective. So did you, from your background in accounting, what have you learned that's really potentially helped you as a FitBody owner?
Yeah, so I do have my license as a certified public accountant. It's just helped so much with, like, financing is the biggest thing with a business, right? You gotta have the funds, budgeting. I've been able to receive funding from banks just because I keep our books up to date. I know how to read financial statements. I know how to talk to other accountants and financial advisors. I know how to talk to bankers, build relationships with them. And I learned all that stuff in the accounting world. And financial services is a beast in its own, and you really need to understand, like, how people communicate, the work ethic, and how busy everyone is at the same time. One thing I did learn a lot of was being patient with people, but also very persistent. I had to do that with our landlord when we were first signing the lease for our location. I knew she had a ton on her plate, and it kind of dragged out for a while, but I was very persistent. But I was able to move the needle forward in that. So
That's a big takeaway: patience and persistence. I feel like that is like the golden rule for an entrepreneur, because you have to be persistent, but there's at times you have to be patient to let things roll out, especially at the very beginning when you're getting your lease and business up together.
Oh yeah.
Well, good. So, unpacking that, while it wasn't your passion, and you, thankfully you've been able to, steer in the right direction with FitBody and opening your fitness, location, having a big impact, but you did gain a lot of value from that, back credentials as an accountant.
Oh yeah, big time.
Good. Well, Kat would love to kind of pick up where you left off. I know Daniel kind of shared his perspective, and it sounds like, you also were overweight, child, and then transformed somehow to the fitness industry in a new line. So give us some of your perspective.
For sure. So, yeah, as he mentioned, we were both overweight, very unhealthy, very unhappy. Our parents got divorced when we were really young. Like, I was like maybe 5 when they got divorced.
Oh, wow.
And so when we were with our dad, it was always this, like, eating cup noodle soup, drinking Tampico juice, like frozen burritos, just like junk food,
whatever you want,
like all the time, and then when we were with my mom, it was always going out to eat, a lot of Chinese food or just other restaurants. So we were very overweight, and I remember back in like starting in like 3rd grade, I was always, not only was I taller than everybody in my class, I was bigger than everybody in my class, and that was just like hard, and it made me very.
She was meaner than everybody.
It made me very mean, and because I was so just unhappy with myself, and to be quite honest, it's not something that I really share, but like being at that size, like kids in my class would say things, so it just like I just got this like hard shell on me, and as I got older, I kept getting bigger and meaner.
Well, I feel like there's a famous adage, like hurt people, and I think that gives me a lot of empathy in our industry, because when we're able to transform someone, like their lives open up and they become nicer, more gentle and pleasant. So,
and that's what eventually happened with me. Yeah, but Daniel keeps mentioning it because like we used to not get along, and like when we were growing up, like I said, our parents were divorced. Like I would be at my mom's while he was at my dad's, because we just could not be around each other.
Well, good on you, because I would have never guessed that, considering like your awesome
things have changed for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I remember just especially in high school, I got super self-conscious. Like my self-esteem was so low. In Modesto, where we're from, our summers are really hot. Like it's over 100 degrees pretty much every day. And I would be wearing like a tank top, a t-shirt, and then a hoodie on top, like just trying to cover myself up and make myself not be seen, probably was what I was doing. And, you know, it wasn't until after high school that I went through my transformation. So when I graduated high school, I was probably around like 180 pounds.
Okay.
And then maybe like 6 months later, I remember stepping on my mom's bathroom scale and I had got up to like 210.
Oh,
and at that point was like my moment of like, something's got to change.
Like wake up call.
Yeah, my wake up call for sure. And, you know, Daniel had already gone through his transformation, and I remember hitting him up and just asking him for some guidance, some advice, and then I started doing my own research. Like Muscle and Fitness, hers was my go-to. Like they came out with a new, you know, article or magazine every other month, and I was there at the bookstore like every other month, make sure to pick it up, doing my research, implementing the, you know, the workouts and the nutrition. I started running, and I fell in love with it. I enjoyed lifting heavy and pushing myself. And then, of course, I started losing weight, started slimming down. I got down to 150, so I lost 60 pounds, and I felt great. And I started to become a lot nicer and much more positive, you know, and just enjoying my life more. Because before I would hate to go shopping, because nothing ever fit, or I just didn't like how I looked in anything. And then after that, after my transformation, like, I kind of had a little bit of a shopping problem because I enjoyed it now, you know? And so I just naturally fell in love with the process, with health and with fitness, and just continued my journey, you know, ever since then. And it hasn't been perfect by any means, you know, as I'm obviously, I'm a mom now. So like, I obviously like going through my pregnancy, gained a lot of weight, had to then again like get myself back on track to lose that. And yeah, I ended up becoming a personal trainer because like what fitness did for me, it really changed me as a person, you know, mentally and physically. And I want to be able to do that for other people. Like that's just really what I want to do. And you know, before I got into personal training, I was in the medical field. So I was in pediatrics, working as a medical assistant, and I really got into that because my mom kind of pushed me to do that. It wasn't something that I like wanted to do, so I went ahead and did it. And you know, I was great at what I was doing, and I for the most part I did enjoy it, but I knew it was not something I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And it's interesting because in our waiting room there used to be like a TV on, and they would play, you know, health related episodes, and Ace Fitness would come on a lot, and it would have tips for like families and with overweight kids, and it got me like excited to maybe I should help out kids, get into the fitness industry to help out kids.
Interesting.
And then I started looking into like personal training and stuff, and I realized if I really want to help the kids, I need to help their parents and their grandparents. I got to help the adults because they're the ones that are really in control of what's happening at home. So that's where I like, all right, I pretty much just went all in. I started studying, got certified, like right away got my job at 24-Hour Fitness, started doing one-on-one personal training, fell in love with it, and I was great at it, and I'm like, man, this is what I was meant to do.
Nice.
You know, and it's been awesome, you know, and you know, Daniel came to me and was like, hey, like, you know, I'm looking into this Fit Body. Have you heard of them? And I'm like, yeah, like I actually looked into them and I wanted to do it, but I didn't have the capital and I didn't have the business background. That's where, you know, his strength was. And we ended up joining forces, and it's been awesome just really having an impact in our hometown and be able to help so many people change their lives in a positive way, like the way fitness did for us. It's awesome, you know, because I really believe that everybody deserves to live their most healthiest and happiest life, and we get to help everybody out with that. So it's cool.
Yeah. Well, I want to dive into that. Before I do, though, and you know, for the audience there who's interested in fitness and business and potentially opening their own studio, Fit Body Bootcamp, et cetera, how would you say your experience of being like the fat or unhealthy kids has really helped you as coaches, as business owners within our industry? Starting with you, Daniel.
Just being able to relate to our clients, really, like knowing where they're coming from, their struggles, you know, the self-talk, self-doubt, all the low self-esteem and confidence that they may have with themselves. And just trying to instill that belief that, you know, you can do it too. It's totally worth it. It's gonna be difficult. You know, there's gonna be times when you're doubting yourself. There's gonna be times when you want to give up. You got to get uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, it's 100% worth it. You're worth it, and you're gonna love yourself even more on the other side.
Yeah, I love that. And it's interesting. I feel like a lot of times, like outside eyes looking at the industry, you know, people want to position themselves as perfect, and you know, if you're a personal trainer, et cetera. And certainly there's, you know, value in looking and act the part, right? You know, you wouldn't go to a dentist with wooden teeth.
Right.
At the same token, I mean, this is something that, like right now, as a population, 50% of the population is obese, meaning like half the population you look has experienced like, you know, self-negativity and self-doubt, and just within, you know, the fitness space. So I think there's a lot to be said about that relatability and the empathy that you just nailed. How about you, Kat?
Yeah, I mean, definitely being able to relate to people is huge, you know, but also just being open and honest with your clients. Like that's something that I'm really, you know, big on, and we both are, but just, you know, even now where we currently are, even though we've been running a fitness business for the last 3 years, like we still have struggles and we still have moments where we're overcoming obstacles in our own fitness journey. And I share that with our clients, and they appreciate that, because it's like, okay, we're all in this together. Like we're not perfect, because the fitness is not perfect.
No.
Like trying to live a healthy life, it's not going to be a perfect journey. And I think the more you just share that with people, and they respect that, and it's like, all right, we're all in this together, you know?
You create that connection.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. All right, now I want to dive into your experience as Fit Body owners. Before I do, what really attracted you about the fitness model at Fit Body or group training? Because Kat, you said you did one-on-one. So I guess why specifically? I mean, I understand the passion because you both went through transformations. You want to give back, which is, you know, makes a ton of sense. But why specifically the Fit Body model?
Well, I know for me, like I got into doing the one-on-one, and I enjoyed it. But then after that, I ended up getting into group personal training for a while, and I enjoyed that even more because it was fun. You know, and it was exciting. Like you get to work with a group of people and help them all at the same time, and that camaraderie like really felt good.
Yep.
And then Daniel ended up hearing about Fit Body through a podcast, and so I was like, you know, I was already kind of experiencing the group fitness and really enjoyed it, and so I was all in with it like right away.
Let's go. Because you already had that experience working with clients and all
Mm-hmm.
that, and obviously the energy that you can, you know, execute a session with, you know, multiple people is way more than just one-on-one.
Right.
So from that perspective, that made a lot of sense to you.
Yeah.
How about you from a business perspective? Because I know you were the one who initially, you know, brought the opportunity to Kat.
Yeah, so I heard about Fit Body from Bedros. He was on a podcast, and he just briefly briefly mentioned that Fit Body was a franchise, and I was just like, I didn't know you could franchise a fitness business. So I looked into it and really looked into Bedros as him being the founder and CEO at the time, and just like started learning from him, really taking in like his mindset and his perspective as an entrepreneur, and like I just felt like I could really relate to him. To be honest, I had never done a group workout in my life before then.
Because your transformation was really just like research, let's do it, and then just like in a silo.
Yeah, it was just basically all on my own, you know, and I still have struggles with that. Like I forget to ask for help sometimes. Like I'm just always so used to doing everything on my own. But when, you know, I connected with Bedros through his podcast, and then talked to my sister about group fitness, and I could just see the passion from her and like how much she loved it and how much she said she was really great at it, and I believed her. And I probably should have seen one of her classes before like committing to it 100%, you know, but I trusted her. I could, the passion and authenticity just kind of like, you know, projects out of her. And so I just trusted her 100% in her capabilities. And I just knew, you know, the faith I had in myself and my abilities as well too, and I was like, let's do it.
Let's go. Yeah. And it's interesting. I mean, like you guys are such people business, or people, and specifically you, Kat, which I know you coach a lot of sessions, and that relatability, that connectivity is like everything in our industry. And what we always say at Fit Body is primarily we're in the people industry first, the people business, and then the fitness and nutrition and coaching comes afterwards. So
absolutely.
Well, cool. Well, let's dive into a little bit of the day-to-day. So I'm curious, obviously, brother and sister duo, there's a lot of value there, right? But also, too, I'm sure there's a lot of challenges working together. I've worked with my family. So I'm curious, like, what are your different strengths and weaknesses and different, roles that you do in the business? So, Kat, why don't you start off?
Sure. Well, like I said earlier, we get along now, so that's great. There might be moments where like we're speaking and on the outside, it might look like we're arguing, but that's just how we communicate because we're brother and sister. Like we grew up, like you give each other a hard time and, you kind of like bicker with each other when you're talking, but that's just how we communicate. Yeah. So I probably but in our team, that's something that they've gotten used to. And like when new team members will come on, it's funny because the other coaches will be like, that's just how they talk.
They love each other. They just harass each other, but it's all love.
We get loud, but we don't like yell or talk down to each other or anything like that.
No, it's all good.
We get a little loud, but
But I think what really makes us work so well together is we're really like the opposite of each other, right? Mm-hmm. Like his strengths are my weakness and vice versa. Mm-hmm. And with Daniel specifically, like he's just really dialed in. He's super disciplined, very consistent, is always about just growing every day. And I mean, that's like, he's our business, you know what I mean? So like, that's why our business is able to be consistent and grow and just make like this big impact because that's what he's doing every day on a daily basis. And then obviously his business background, like he's all about getting stuff done, being strategic about it and moving the needle forward and like, tasks, we need to do this, stay on top of it. So I think and that's not where
your zone.
Are at,
Put you in front of people.
Yeah.
And like that's where the energy happens. That's where the culture, the community.
Yeah.
And then put you in front of the back end of the business.
Yeah.
And that's where the stars align.
And she has just this amazing ability to be able to like connect with people and relate to them and really just pull the best out of them. Like she is just straight inspiration. Like the way she messages things, the way she articulates her messages, it just like captivates and whoever she's talking to, whether it's one person in a strategy session or a big group in orientation with 40 people, like she just has this ability to inspire everyone to take action. She does that with our clients, with our teams, with me. When I hear her speak too, it fires me up all the time as well. And
let's go.
Yeah, it just works really well.
I mean, that's incredible. How important would you say from your visibility into the viewers back home, if they're going to start a group training business, how important is it to have someone like Kat on your team?
Oh, it's vital. You have to have it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to succeed without it, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I could be the best businessman in the world, but if I don't have somebody, if I can't do what she's doing, then you have to find somebody to do that. Because
and vice versa.
I was just going to say, for sure. Like, like I said, before we actually joined forces, like I kind of knew about Fit Body and like I wanted to do it, but I didn't know where to start. And I didn't know about business, but Daniel, like he was on it. And I'm just like, and another thing is we're both fast-paced, which is good, and we're both like, all right, it's time to move. We got to go. Let's take action. So that I think that helps a lot too. But definitely having that more task and business, and then like the energy and the people, definitely.
Super important.
Yeah.
All right, now on the flip side, get a little uncomfortable, shoot it straight. Where are the challenges? And I say this with love because I work with my family, my wife and brother and sister and mom. What are some of the challenges in working together? And really, I want to ask this question for the audience who's interested, because a lot of, husband and wives or brothers and sisters, or someone in the family, they join forces to open a camp. So I want you to give the insight what the good, the bad, the ugly is as well. So what would you say some of the challenges in that working dynamic?
We don't have a ton of challenges, but I'm always constantly looking to improve something and make things better. And with that comes a lot of change, obviously. And with me, I'm totally fine with change. Like, we need to change this, we need to change that. Like, let's do it and just make things happen and let's go. But she needs a little bit of time to adjust to that and to get ready for that type of change. And sometimes I forget that she needs that. She needs a little bit more patience and empathy. And if I don't provide that to her, then that's where she kind of gets stuck, or she may, I don't know, if maybe she doesn't feel like I value her opinion sometimes, but I think that's kind of where we do struggle a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like I'm just always pushing and she's like, hold on, dude, like you're going too fast, like you need to slow down a little bit.
And that's gold.
Sometimes,
That's the same with me and my relationship as well with my wife, who we work in the business together. So that's valuable feedback for audience to know. Kat, what about you from your perspective?
I think kind of something similar is like, we're always constantly making changes. And I'm okay with that. Like, I understand things are always going to change, but it does take me a little bit of time to start like picking up on the things we're supposed to, like the new things we're supposed to do consistently. It's like, I know, but it just takes me a while to like actually start doing it, to execute, you know? And Daniel's like, his mind is already like, this is what we're supposed to be doing now. Like, why aren't we doing it? And I'm like, I know, bro. Just like, give me a little bit of time. Like,
give me a second.
And it could be like the simplest things. Like, you know, we started using like Asana to communicate with the team. And like, when I wasn't on it right away, he's like, we're supposed to be using this platform. I'm like, I know. Just give me some time. I need to get used to it. You know, but but I feel like it's just little things. We don't have like really big, like major struggles and challenges, I feel.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's just because of that. We're so opposite, and we recognize that in each other, and we respect that of each other, even though sometimes, he could get a little impatient, but overall, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Copy. Well, good stuff. Some gold there for sure. Changing gears, you just celebrated your third anniversary. Huge congratulations. You guys started in early 2019?
January 2019.
Yep. Holy smokes. Congrats. That's awesome. And from my perspective, being in the brand since 2012 and, you know, welcoming you guys in just a few years ago, I mean, you guys had an incredible start. I feel like these are massive action takers, and that's been a huge reason for your success. So let's talk about, you know, kind of taking a 30,000-foot view. You've been in the business for 3 years. Like, what are the differences from the early days compared to where you're at right now? So maybe from the business perspective, Daniel, can you kind of paint that picture?
Well, in the beginning, you know, we really honestly didn't know what we were getting into, you know, and we jumped in and needed to get some coaching and going to trainings. Obviously, we came to university, went to some workshops, different trainings. We joined the Mastermind group and just really immersed ourselves in trying to learn about the business and how to be better leaders, better coaches, better business owners, and just took everything that we learned and like immediately implemented what we could. And that's what really set us apart and really got us to grow in the beginning. It's just we took massive action on everything that we learned, and it paid off tremendously.
And outside eyes too, just like great attitudes. I feel like just working with you guys is a pleasure. So like that's a huge learning lesson to the audience at home. If you want to be successful, it's like you got to show up, you got to dive into the training, you got to connect, and you just got to do, you know, take massive action with a smile. When you do that, it like creates good energy. So I'm sure one of many reasons you guys have been so successful. Kat, how about you, from your perspective?
So in the beginning, for me too, it was so much about the client experience and making sure that everybody was coming in was getting a great experience and they're getting results, and I was giving them that energy and the positivity and the motivation and the inspiration that they need and the coaching. And then as the business, you know, grew, especially after like our first year, I started to really notice like I need to do this for my team. Right? Like I need to pour into them, pour into my team, my coaches, and not just so much the clients, because I know that's where my focus was at, you know? And so I don't think I was the best leader for our team when we first started, because I was just so fixated on the clients, you know? And obviously, like, I told Daniel before we actually opened the business, like, I told him I was all in and I am not gonna let us fail. Like, we're gonna be successful. So I was like pouring everything I had into it. But, you know, like I said, as we grow, you start to realize like you really need to pour into your team too, you know, because they're the ones taking care of the clients and the experience with you. So.
And I think that's a huge learning lesson and really, you know, a topic of gold for our audience who, when you first joined, and I'm with you there as well, I remember being so focused at clients, which is needed when the very beginning. But once you start adding clients and then you're able to kind of step out, bring on coaches and all that, while your focus, obviously, depending on where you're at in the transition, still has to be on the client experience, your focus as a leader actually has to be how can you take care of your clients, because your clients, or excuse me, your coaches, because your coaches and your team are going to be the ones who take care of your clients. So that's a really good lesson.
Yeah. And then, you know, even, you know, like we joined the Mastermind, and then we also got into a leadership mastermind, and that helped a lot too, being able to, because I have a great way of like connecting with our clients, but for some reason I struggle with that a little bit with my team.
Okay.
So, but having that coaching helped out with that, you know, and I think just for everybody, like be willing to to get coached and to take the guidance and advice from people who know how it is, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm super grateful to like the Mastermind group specifically at Fit Body. It's just, they've helped out a lot being able to learn how to navigate so much, you know?
Totally. Well, that's good on you guys. Actually, speaking of leadership, can you talk on that for a little bit? Like, what would you say from your experience, like running a business, obviously being client-centric, but also now having a team? What's the value in leadership? You know, how do you view it? And maybe some, you know, learning lessons along the way on you know, just the topic in general.
Yeah, I think you just need to really develop your leadership style and be consistent with that. So that way your team knows they can rely on you no matter what. You know, like for me, I'm very calm and collected under pressure through COVID and the pandemic. I don't feel like I ever really freaked out. My team never saw me freak out. It's just, and having that consistency really helped. Because the value of a true leader is to inspire people to take action, right?
Totally.
And just remember to always reinstill like the belief, the why of what we're doing, and you know, projecting the vision out to them so they know exactly why they're doing something and then where we're going as well too. And that's been my biggest lesson as a leader is always starting with why and then showing where we're going as well.
Yeah, huge. That's, you know, foundational to be able to lead the ship, show the vision where you're going so your people can get bought in and attack that vision. Yeah. Kat, how about you for a second? As you said, you know, initially, like you were so focused on the clients and you kind of had some ahas that maybe I need to develop my leadership skills. Like, how's that, you know, gone for you?
You know, one like major thing I had to learn is just like when you first are with, you know, a member of your team, it's like, don't just get straight to business. Like, connect with them for a little bit, you know? Like, that's what I do with the clients when they come in, you know? I connect with them, I make small talk, and then we get into the session, we get down to business, you know what I mean? So just having to learn to do that with my team and just like, you know, take a moment, connect with them, and then like, let's get into, you know, what we got to do. So that was, and another thing too is just like staying positive, you know what I mean? Like, I think that helps a lot. Like Daniel said, through all this stuff that we were going on through with the pandemic, but you know, you can't freak out. But also, you can't get negative either. Like, you need to stay positive. Even though there's so much negativity going on, like, you got to stay positive and you got to keep looking for the good and have that faith, like, everything's going to work out just fine.
You got to stay positive and steady, like the two things I pulled from both of you here. So, yeah, awesome. All right, so kind of more on the unpacking the box topic. If you were to kind of take a 30,000-foot view of the last 3 years and get raw, get vulnerable for me, what would you say, we'll go with you, Kat, first, from a highlight perspective, what's been like the biggest highlight? And then the flip side, what's been the biggest challenge over the last 3 years in running your business?
Oh, man. I mean, the biggest highlight is just really hearing so many positive transformation stories from our clients. Like, that's really what gives me fuel to keep going. You know what I mean? Because like running a business and working with so many people on your team and people coming into your facility, it can be a lot. You know, there's a lot going on. But I think just hearing so many people tell us how we've changed their life, how like they're just so blessed that they've found us and, you know, we're like their family now. Like, that stuff like keeps me lit up. And I know that's like, you know, more, I don't know if that's like too vague, but that's really like the highlight for me. It's just hearing so many positive stories from our clients. And on the other side of that, you know, taking care of myself and making sure that I'm right and my mind is right and my body is right.
Especially now since you're a mom too.
Yeah, like that's such a huge thing. And I'll be honest, for some time I started to kind of lose myself in like the busyness of work and running a business, and my self-care started to kind of get pushed down when that just didn't feel good, because that's what I preach to like all the clients coming in, and especially to moms. Yeah, like take care of yourself, and that way you can take care of everybody else.
Totally.
But I started to not do that, and I was feeling just uninspired, really feeling uninspired. I wasn't feeling like excited how I used to be, and Daniel noticed it, my husband noticed it, and you know, thankfully I have them on my side and able to have like open conversations with them, and you know, I was able to get real with them and tell them like, you know what, like I haven't been taking good care of myself. I'll be honest, and I know I need to. And then I started getting back on it, and now like that fire is lit again, and I'm feeling inspired and excited again. So, you know, yeah, it's great to hear transformation stories. But you hear it because they're doing the work. So we cannot stop doing the work, people. But you just got to keep doing it.
I think that's the value of coaching. Like we all need coaching. We all have blind spots. You know, life is just not static. It's dynamic. You have the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we all have transitions in time. So I think there's something to be said about that, and it impacts, you know, a lot of coaches in the business, especially when things get tough. Sometimes we, you know, worry about us not first, which needs to happen. So
Right.
How about you, Daniel? From your perspective, like, what are the big challenges, or the big challenge that you've seen in the last 3 years that you've overcame, and the flip side, the highlight?
I'll start with the highlight. You know, the biggest highlight I think was towards the end of our first year, around month like 10, so it was October of 2019. I was kind of like stressed out a little bit about capital and cash. Took us
in the first year.
In the first year of the business, yeah. So I was pretty stressed out. I was maxed out on all my credit cards, and you know, cash was running kind of low, and so I was really kind of worried, just like, okay, where can I get more funding? You know, when are we going to be profitable? And so it just I just kept working, kept trying to come up with different ideas, and then just right at the end of 2019 is when we just like really like blew up. Our reputation was growing like crazy. Clients were getting great results. Our coaches and our team was awesome. Like it was just, everything was like running on all cylinders perfectly. And then we started profiting. And then from December through like March were amazing months for us. And we were finally, we're making a profit. I was
at this point, it's
ease.
like month 12 to 15 run.
Yes. And then we know what happened in March of 2020, right? So those 3 months like saved us. If we didn't do that well in profitability those 3 months, we probably wouldn't have made it through COVID, just being honest. And then when we had our 1 year anniversary, that was just a big highlight for me, the 1 year anniversary, because I felt good internally where we were from a financial perspective. But we had a big party, a celebration in our studio, tons of clients. There must have been like 100 people in our facility.
Nice.
You know, I awarded some stuff to the team. We all said some nice things about each other. We talked to the clients, and it was just a massive celebration, and just like the energy and the positivity that was going on in there was just absolutely incredible. And I left that day from our anniversary party just like on a whole nother level. And I remember driving, went to dinner afterwards, and it was so weird. I don't know why I thought of this of myself, but I was like, if I just crashed right now and I was done, like my life, I'd be fulfilled. I'd be fulfilled because of how high everything was.
Well, knock on wood, but good on you, man. That's awesome.
I don't know, it's weird to think that way, but I was just in such a good place right there. And then, a couple months later, COVID hit, and then we had to completely turn the business around and do something different. But I wouldn't even say that was like our biggest challenge. The biggest challenge that I think I've faced as a leader and as an entrepreneur and business owner is, you know, in building the business, I really lost myself as well too. Like I lost my identity, I lost who I was, I lost connection with Daniel because I was just so focused on growing the business. And leading my team and serving my clients, and I just lost touch with myself. And because of that, it caused me to have an unclear vision of what I wanted for my life and what I wanted for the business. And because of that, because of me being so unclear with my vision, I was being a poor leader. I couldn't lead the team exactly the way they needed to be led. They didn't know where we were going, so they couldn't really do their day-to-day operations, and we didn't have certain systems and policies in place, and everyone was kind of just struggling, and it was like all on my shoulders because Daniel lost himself and he didn't know where he was going. And so at the time I was talking to obviously my leadership team. We had a leadership coach, obviously with the Mastermind group, and that's when we started reading The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And that book completely changed my life, just about like systems and like having that vision for your life as well too. And then I also started reading Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill all at the same time. And all these different books, and my leadership coach, everyone's talking about like purpose and vision and aligning your core values with all that stuff. And that was like a little confusing to me because everyone said it a little differently, but they were all kind of saying the same thing. And I actually went and I needed to take some time away from the business and away from working. And I rented a cabin out in the Sierra Nevadas.
Yeah, I remember this.
Small town of Arnold. I think it was May. Went away for like 4 days and just like immersed myself in like personal development and like just trying to figure out my vision. And I came back and I was also initially went to like set up an operations manual for the business to set up better systems for the team. And then when I got there, I was just like, I don't know how I can do an operations manual for the business if I don't have one for myself. So I started with myself. I was reading those books. I was listening to previous recordings and presentations from our mastermind meetings, and they were all talking about vision and definiteness of purpose, primary aim, purpose statements, like just all this stuff kind of just convoluted a lot of stuff out there. And then, so I was just taking in all this information. I was being open-minded. I was trying to be receptive to what what the universe was essentially trying to tell me. And I was just out there by myself. I went on this super vigorous trail run. It's like 4 miles up and down these hills. And as in the middle of my trail run, it just like smacked me, like hit me in the face. And I was like, all these different ideas just started to align into like one vision and one way of how I should live my life and also run and lead the business. And so taking that time to go away by myself and really focus on like what I wanted for myself and also what I wanted for the business was absolutely like critical for me, and it's led the way to where we're at today.
Yeah, and what sort of clarity? Because I remember obviously being connecting and discussing that journey with you. What sort of clarity did it lead to, and like results, I guess, of the last year plus?
Yeah, so I was with all the ups and downs over the past couple of years, I was uncertain if like we just wanted one location or if we wanted like 3 locations or 5 locations, and how big of a location did we want? And I was just back and forth with all of that, and so I came out of that with like, no, we want to have 5 locations up and down the California Central Valley over the next 5 years. But obviously we still need to focus on our one location that we do have and grow that and really make a big impact with our team and clients. But just focus on growing that one and then eventually getting bigger.
Totally. And there's something to be said about like getting you to a point you burst at the seams and then you can replicate versus, overextending yourself. So yeah, good on you. All right, a lot of stuff to unpack here. Last big, topic I want to hit before we transition to lightning round would be, last year at World Conference, you guys were nominated and won the award for 2021 Mastermind of the Year. So can you tell a little bit about like the how, the why, like the value that you've received from the group, and really the value you've given the group to win such an honor? So, Kat, why don't you start first?
Oh man, I mean, we get so much value from the Mastermind. It's crazy, but like, you got to surround yourself with successful people, right? If you want to be successful, and really just taking what you're learning and you have to implement it. But don't just implement it. Like, you need to be bought into what you're trying to do and what you're trying to sell to people, like the vision or whatever it is. Like, you need to be bought in 100%, because if you're not and you're out there trying to do things, like, people can tell.
Totally.
And that's just kind of like how my mindset has been ever since I remember going to a domination workshop when we first started, before we opened up the studio, and seeing how we're supposed to run things and why, like, I completely that was my mind, is like, this is what needs to be done, and like, there's no and ifs or buts about it. Like, we just got to go and execute, and that's what we did. And then even as you go with so much change, and we come to different mastermind meetings, and we get all this value from so many owners and awesome speakers. You can't do all of it, but whatever you are gonna do, like, you need to believe in it and just go all in with it. And that's kind of like, even when that's why we've been so successful, because we're all in on our business.
Well, I think it's a superpower. It's like you talked about the implementation. I feel like that's what you guys do. Like, for outside eyes, like, whenever we meet, we create some ideas, and I know Daniel and Kat are just going to implement, and you come back, and that's a huge reason why you're successful.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, like, for me personally, like, again, I'm not like a very task-oriented person.
You're not.
But if you give me an action plan that I can go and execute, like I'm gonna do it.
Yep.
You know, and that's why too, like we've been so successful, and you know, just being able to take action and believe in what you're doing, and don't, like, if you have questions, figure that out before you start implementing, like, because if you start questioning it later, it's not going to be solid.
Like, get clear first and then you go.
Yeah. Like, if you need some clarity still, like, get that up front. Like, you know, there'll be things that we're going to change up in the business, and I'll ask Daniel questions first, and then once I understand it, it's like it's locked in, and I'm not worried about the way we used to do things. Like, this is just the focus now. This is the direction we're heading in, and like, let's go.
And that's so important, like a really good message to the audience, especially if a partnership like this, like you need to be aligned from your central leadership team first, and then you push it out, because that way it needs to get executed. So
yeah, exactly. And you know, there's going to be uncomfortable moments, because of course, like, he believes we should do this, and I'm like, a little hesitant, but we talk it out, and we get to a point where we both feel good, and then it's like, all right, let's go.
Off you go.
Yep.
Well, awesome. Now I'm going to ask you, Daniel, but I did want to congratulate you both, because that's an incredible
Thank
honor.
you. Yeah.
So,
thank you.
But yeah,
that's awesome.
Totally. From your perspective, how and why, like, did it all happen? And again, what's the value to the group, and what's the value you've been able to provide as well?
Yeah, I think just going back to the taking action, you know, that's what every time we get together for those mastermind meetings, and I talk to all the other mastermind members, the different owners from all over the country, you know, they're always talking about like how we take action, and they tend to watch us like on social media and give us a lot of credit for that as well too. And I think just inspiring each other, you know, when you meet and connect with people, you bounce ideas off each other. If you're struggling with something, you know, chances are I'm probably struggling with something similar. And we just, like, even if it's something like we're both at low points, but just knowing you're not the only one struggling is super helpful as well too. Like, I remember when we went to Miami, and that was that January of 2021.
Last year, 12 months ago. Crazy.
Everyone was struggling.
So, yeah, well,
and
we all needed a pick me up.
Yeah, I thought we were the only ones too. And I was just like, I don't even want to go, because like life sucks right now, and it's like not going great. But when we got there, like everyone was like kind of down and like struggling. So it was like we were able to like help. Like, yes, it's tough, but we're all fighters, and we're not going to give up, and we were able to lift each other up.
Yeah,
So.
and that was at the point, just like, you know, COVID wasn't even a year old, like the election craziness. I mean, that was just like a very dense period of time.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah, so just being able to lift each other up through the struggles, and like when you're doing great, like, you know, lifting you up even higher, and just being able to, again, bounce ideas off each other, trying to help problem solve, things like that, give each other feedback on certain things, on what's working well in our business, on our side of stuff, and then how you can implement that with yours, and we can all succeed.
Yeah, man. What's the famous saying? A rising tide raises all ships, and you know, that's what we've done. And again, congrats to both. It's been a pleasure, and just excited to see you guys continue to win.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So. All right, my friends. Well, you guys have been so gracious with your time. We still got a little bit left. I'm going to transition to the lightning round to be able to give our audience some action-packed value before we go. If you guys are up for it.
Yes.
All right, we're going to go ladies first,
Right.
and we'll kind of bounce off. But, you know, Kat, from your perspective, when you look back, you know, at your life, at the earlier version of you, what would you say would be one thing that was holding you back in your way, and how'd you overcome it?
By doing a lot of deep inner work. I want to say it was Bedros's book, Man Up, that had this like prompt to figure out like what's something that maybe you think is like a weakness of yours, but it's really like you could turn it into like your strength, you know, something like along those lines. But okay, so in my childhood, I always had a very deep voice, okay? And I always I got made fun of it. Like kids at school, and I changed schools a lot, and I would always be like, I remember always going to like new schools, and I would hear kids be like, oh, that's the girl that sounds like a boy. Or like when I would answer phone calls, like everybody would always call me a mister. They always just assumed it was a guy. So I think I struggled a lot with like speaking out because I was maybe self-conscious of how I sounded.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
And so that was something that I had to overcome. And also on top of that, I was always a little bit of like a rebel, you know, I was like the black sheep of the family.
Free spirit.
And, yeah. But like growing up, it wasn't really a positive thing because I was always being compared to like my brothers that are just like great students and doing all these things right. And I'm over here like a trouble, you know? So when I read that in the book, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? Like, my voice and what I have to say, and like the fact that, yeah, I do things my own way, like that's my uniqueness, and I need to like use that as my fuel and make that my strength. And that's really like, then I started writing about it, and I started standing in front of my mirror and like speaking, like as if I was speaking to an audience, and I realized, like, man, I'm good at this, and I enjoy this.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it lights me up, you know? Yeah. And so I think just having to overcome that from my childhood of, being self-conscious about the way that I sound, and, maybe that I'm so different from everybody else, and just really embracing that.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Like with even like my hair, like I remember when we first opened our boot camp, Daniel was like afraid people were not going to take us serious because I had dreadlocks. And he was like, and I'm like, bro, it's fine. Like, it's just me. And I think it helps people to feel comfortable and just be them.
It does.
Yeah. And I'm just like the professional, right? The business professional. I'm like, that's totally not business professional.
Hey,
like,
man,
no
I'm with you.
Work out with
you see my brother Barrett with the long hair, like my hippie brother Barrett, and I'm like clean cut, so I feel this.
If I can say something about Barrett. So I think it was my first mastermind meeting here at HQ. And I remember seeing Barrett go up and talk, and he had his long hair.
Yep.
And he was using words like tubular and all these things. And I was like, he's super successful, and look at like, and again, like his authenticity reassured me that like, I'm good, and I'm okay to be in my authenticity, you know what I mean? And like, and then now I'm gonna be able to do that for other people too, so. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for being vulnerable. That's incredible. How about you, my man?
What's holding me back?
No, like looking back, looking back at your life, like what was one or two, probably one, major thing that was holding you back, and how'd you overcome it?
I think, over the years, it's hard for me to ask for help. Even though I do come to masterminds, I do all these different things, but it's still like, I'll take all this information, I'll take action, but if like I get stuck or I start spinning my wheels on something, I tend not to ask for help. I tend to just be like, I'm gonna figure it out on my own. And it's just, I feel like I've always done that, like since I was a kid, like growing up, just always having to basically like kind of fend for myself and learn and do everything kind of on my own. When I lost all that weight, it was me doing it by myself. Like my family didn't help me, my mom and my dad didn't help me. Like I just tried to do it all on my own.
Yep.
And I've just been that way since I was a little kid. And so it's helped serve me very, very well because I can figure things out very easily. But yeah, I do have a tough time asking for help when I know I need to. And so I still kind of struggle with that.
Still struggle, yeah.
Yeah, so because I'm just so like, no, I could do it. I can handle it. I'll figure it out. If I was going to delegate, it's tough for me to delegate sometimes too, because like I know I can just do it really quickly and easily.
Do it better.
Yeah, I can do it better, and it's going to take me too much time to like explain it to you, and you're not going to understand it. So I'm just going to do it myself.
Yeah.
And so like I still kind of struggle with that a little bit. Is so asking for help and delegating correctly. So I tend to take on too much.
But being aware of that is like important because at the end of the day, like over time, you'll course correct.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. All right, good stuff. Next up, habits, and certainly in our business are foundational to get clients results. But Daniel, I'm looking at you. What's been a habit that you've acquired over the last 10 years or so that's been instrumental in your success?
I have a tagline that says "Let's keep progressing," and like I live to that every single day. I'm totally not okay with being stagnant or just complacent with any part of my life, whether it's business, fitness, relationships, my finances, everything. I'm just always trying to improve and get better. I'm constantly learning every day. I don't have much entertainment going on. Like I don't watch TV. So I'm always just either listening to a podcast, reading a book.
It's getting better.
Strategizing, just constantly improving. And that's something that I've been doing for a couple decades now. And it's served me very, very well.
Yes, it has. Good for you, man. Kindred
something
spirits.
I definitely admire about him is like he's so dedicated to growth.
Yeah.
How about you, Kat?
Oh, man. I'm really in the habit of trying to see the good in everything, trying to like, even if something just seems so negative, like finding the positive. And that's just a habit of mine. And obviously I think it serves me very well and our business very well. And something that helps me with that is visualization. I have like I have vision boards up in my room, and I will stand in front of them, and it's all really like a vision of what I want my life to look like, right? And it's all good stuff. And I think just seeing that, and doing that on a daily basis, it helps me to find the good on a daily basis through everything going on. So really just focusing on the good, and then visualization, you know, like just see a happy, positive, fulfilling future.
Heck yeah. Well, you're like a happy, positive, fulfilling person. So it's aligned.
Yeah.
Love it. All right, my friends. Last $1 million question as we wrap today would be your parting piece of wisdom. And, you know, for our audience who are interested in fitness, in business, and entrepreneurship, and really just being better, ladies first, Kat, what would be your parting wisdom, for our audience?
Win the day. That's my tagline. But what it means to me, and what I would say to everybody, is just keep taking great care of yourself. Like, you have to make sure that you are filling yourself up so that you can freely give to everybody else and really pour into them and not feel drained in the process, right? Because I was there not even too long ago, you know, but then you start taking good care of yourself, staying committed to your good habits, your healthy habits, your routines and your rituals, right? Like, for me, it's like my spirituality is a really big thing. And if I stop doing my spiritual practices, like, I'm off, you know? So I would say just take care of yourself first, so that way you can take care of your business, take care of your family, take care of your people. But it really just comes down to you feeling good, and then life will be good.
Heck yeah. Love that. How about you, Daniel?
I think definitely just surrounding yourself with people that are successful, like-minded, and like where you want to see yourself in the future, right? And that can be like, with obviously like FitBody's a franchise. You know, we could have easily opened up Daniel and Kat's boot camp, but we wouldn't be surrounded by the entire franchise of hundreds of owners that are super successful and been in the industry longer than we have. And so we've learned so much. It's helped us grow. Same thing with the Mastermind, like just surrounding ourselves with people that are, high performers and trying to just make a big impact in their communities, and just learning from them and all growing together. So just having either a coach or just a community of people that are just going to lift you up and take you where you know you're capable of going. So
heck yeah.
Yes.
Freaking great advice. Get that, team.
Yes.
All right, friends, before we shoot today, and I do want to acknowledge you before we go, but where would be the best way to connect with you, whether it be your website or personal handles? Kat?
On Instagram, I'm on Instagram and Facebook. That's really the only platforms.
What's your Instagram handle?
What's your handle?
Kat winning the day.
Boom.
Kat _winning the day.
There you go. How about you, my man?
Mine's Instagram, so Daniel _Salas _.
Awesome.
So.
And then Vintage Fair Fit Body Bootcamp.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just check it out.
Yes.
Well, friends, this has been awesome. It's been really good just to dialogue and just being friends with you for a few years, and just like watching you learn and grow. And again, like the biggest thing I say from an acknowledgement perspective is you guys just take action. You keep showing up, and that's really the message I want to showcase today. It's simple, it's not easy, but if you just do the work, if you connect, if you keep that positive attitude of winning the day, and then you just GSD, get shit done, good things happen. So,
yes.
Boom.
So I want to acknowledge,
As Bryce says.
Boom. I want to acknowledge you guys for both of that. Thank you guys so much for being on the show. It's just been a pleasure and an honor.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, and thank you for doing what you do, Bryce. We've learned so much from you over the past few years, and you've helped our growth, not only in the business, but just personally as well, too.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that.
Oh, absolutely. Pleasure's mine.
Yes.
So. All right, friends. Well, I know you got a ton of value, assuming you did. As always, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube, and write us an awesome review on iTunes. That way we can keep producing this content for you for free. So that's all for today. We'll see you in the next episode. And again, Kat and Daniel, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.